Hi, I'm Katie from Oddkin Studio, and today I'm going to show you how to make my Oddkin Monsters sewing pattern, which is available on my website. And for this pattern you have a choice between two different designs. You have the Ragglewump monster, which is a little bit simpler. It's got a rectangular body shape and less things coming out of its head. And the Cuddlewink monster, which is a little bit more rounded and has ears and horns, so it's just a little bit more complicated to sew, but they're both adorable, and obviously you can mix and match things because there are no rules. So the first thing to do is figure out which monster you're going to make, and I created a little checklist for the parts and the pattern pieces for each design. So you're going to find the ones you need and cut them out. Just a quick note on the body shape here. The Cuddlewink has a little bit of a curved neck, but you don't have to do that. This is what the curved neck guy looks like, but if you just leave it straight, it looks like this. So both are cute, and you can do whatever you want. And you can use one piece of fabric for your bodies, or if you're feeling a little more scrappy, this is a really cool technique that I love, where I take a piece of iron-on interfacing and cut it to the shape of the pattern, and then basically collage little scraps all over it and pin it down and iron it on. And then I just go over it with a zigzag stitch with some overlap and create like a panel that I can just use with the regular pattern. So that's just a fun sidebar, but I'm not going to do that today. So the next thing you're going to do is cut out all your pieces. You can pin the pattern pieces onto the fabric. I usually don't because I'm lazy and experienced, but if that helps you keep things stable, please go ahead and do that. And for the face panel, you can leave it with the corners like this one, or you can make it round. They're both adorable. I'm going to make mine round today, and I'm also going to use this horn that I found in my monster parts basket because I just am. This is obviously a great pattern for using up scraps, so I usually start by taking my scrap bin and just kind of creating a color palette that works together, and I love this part of the process. Cutting out all the little pieces, and just take your time designing it and finding parts and pieces that look good together. And now we're going to take him over to the sewing machine and make the magic happen. Now we're going to start by sewing all the ears and arms and appendages, and we're just going to put them right sides together and sew them together on the sewing machine. I always do a back stitch to start and then just go around slowly. For the ears, you're going to first do the outer ear and turn it inside out. If it's thin, you might want to stuff it just a little tiny bit. And then you're going to take the inner ear piece and put it on top and sew around the edge of that all the way through all of it. I usually use a zigzag stitch because I think it's adorable, but you could also hand sew this part or do a straight stitch. And you can leave the bottom unfinished because you're going to sew through that when it gets sewn into the head right there. And if you have a fabric that frays kind of badly, go around the edge one more time with a zigzag just to really make sure that's secure and not going to create holes. For the legs and arms, you're going to put the right sides together and tuck the toes facing inside. And you want to leave a little bit sticking out just to make sure they're really secure in there. I usually pin just a couple to keep those where I want them. And then you're just going to go around leaving the top open so that you can turn it inside out and stuff it. And when you get down to the toes, just really be careful here that you're not sewing over the toe. I've done that before. And then when you flip it inside out, you get these cute little toesies. Now we're going to work on the face panel, and I like to pin that on pretty well. I like to do a zigzag stitch, but you could do a straight stitch. You could hand sew this panel on. I like to kind of go slow and lift up the presser foot a little bit, and I use a pin to kind of guide it and press down any bubbly parts. And this works well, especially with knit fabrics when they're not quite the same stretchiness, just to prevent it from stretching out and kind of moving around on you. Next, we're going to pin the eyeball on, and we're going to leave a gap at the top, so make sure you start a little bit forward on the eyeball And I start at the top and just go roundy round we go. And then that little gap is for filling it with some stuffing, just because it's really cute when the eyeball kind of poofs out a little bit. And then we're going to place the eyelid over the top of all of that and pin it down, and then we're going to start in the corner and go around the top. And we're not going to worry about this section down below because we're going to secure that when we embroider the eyelashes on later. Now we're ready to do the pocket, and I recommend doing the heart or whatever you're sewing on your pocket that's decorative before you sew the pocket onto the body piece. It's just hard to sew something on once it's three-dimensional. I like to do just a really simple charming stitch here, just a little basic hand stitch all the way around. And I think it's really cute to use a contrasting color thread. It just looks really handmade and charming. And this is how I finish off a hand sewed piece. I like to bring the thread to the back side, and then I do a little knot like this just a couple times. And then just to make sure it's extra secure, I kind of tuck it inside and give it a little extra length there. Now we're ready to sew the pocket onto the body. So I'm going to pin it where I want it and go around with a zigzag stitch. I think a zigzag stitch is the most secure, but you could also do a straight stitch or you could hand sew it. But I do like to do a couple back and forths on this corner just to make sure it's really extra secure where it's going to get a little pressure. Now we're going to do the smile. There's a lot of different ways you could do the smile, but it's a lot easier to do when it's flat versus doing it after it's been stuffed. But you could do it either way. Sometimes I wait and do the smile after it's stuffed just because I want to kind of see what personality is developing, but it's definitely easier to do it this way. And you could just embroider it if you know how to do that. But this is what I do. I will sort of pin a piece of black yarn where I want it, and then I'll just take a single strand of black thread and just sew it down. I don't know what this is called. I kind of just made it up because I think it looks the most cozy and polished. But you could do this any way that makes sense to you. And then on one side of the smile, I usually make kind of an uglier knot because I know that it's going to get covered up with a little cheek heart later, so I don't worry too much about finishing it. Now comes the really fun part where we get to assemble everything. So on the pattern piece, there's a little guide for where to put all these different limbs and things. We're going to pin all these onto one of the panels facing inward. I like to use long, heavy-duty pins for this. It's just kind of too big of a job for a little pin. And you want to make sure you leave these partially unstuffed towards the end so that the sewing machine isn't trying to get through a bunch of stuffing. And we're just going to pin everything where it belongs. And then I like to add a little yarn hair tuft at the top. And I just make a little bundle of yarn, kind of squish it right there. Next we're going to put the back panel over it, right sides together. And I like to use these little clippies to kind of go in between all of the things I just pinned. I just think it works really well. I call this the monster sandwich. And then it all just kind of stays in place really well when I'm taking it to the sewing machine. So if you don't have clippies, you can just use pins. And if you don't have pins, you can do the whole thing with clips too. But this is just the combination that I found works well for me. And something that it took me a long time to figure out is that it's nice to not do the whole thing all at once. I like to start with just sewing the top 2/3 from the arms around, all the way around, and not do the legs yet. And you'll see why in a minute. So now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine, and this part's tricky. You want to start under the armpit and go slowly all the way around, Go slow, be careful, check and make sure as you're going that everything is where you want it. Check that the bottom isn't slipping underneath. Check that the horns and things aren't disappearing into the middle. It's just a kind of a tricky thing to sew through all those layers, but your sewing machine can handle it. And then I like to stop underneath that second armpit so that I can just take a look and inspect. I look for any places where there's a hole or a gap, which happens sometimes. I just look for any weirdness around the edges. And then this is why I don't do the legs yet, because I like to just do a quick little check, make sure everything's where I want it. If it's not, now's the time to seam rip and fix it, instead of when the legs are already sewn on and the hole for flipping it inside out is really small. That's just a big pain. So this is something that I've learned through doing that a lot of times. Then I'm gonna put the legs in and just do this last seam here. And I'm gonna leave a little gap here in the corner to flip it inside out. And now is the most exciting part, where we get to flip it inside out and stuff it. It's really satisfying. After I stuff it, I like to put some kind of collar on it. Usually I do a sweater cuff because it just is perfect. But sometimes I do a bow tie or a little ruffle or a ribbon. But I just like something around the neck. It just kind of visually feels complete to me. And then it's time to do all the little finishing touches. And then the last thing is sewing up the little side, which I just do like this, just with a simple hand sewing. And that's usually a little bit visible, but it's okay. It adds to the charm. And I had a moth hole on the leg, so I put a little heart on it, which is a great way to cover up little holes. And that's it. We did it. If you made a monster and want to see it, share it with me, post it on Instagram, use my hashtag OddkinMonster, and I hope you had so much fun making your monster and found this tutorial helpful.